Hi, everyone. I'm Ali Amreen, and I've got the pleasure of speaking with some beautiful, inspirational people today. We are speaking with the GQ Heroes in association with Glenfiddich, artists in residence, and we are celebrating these real life heroes who inspire for a brighter tomorrow. Real heroes don't always wear capes. These individuals on the list are at the top of their respective fields, be it sport, business, or entertainment. But beyond their personal achievements, these extraordinary folks have brought us much needed inspiration and cheer in an undoubtedly difficult year. I'm thrilled to welcome writer, filmmaker, and chef extraordinaire Vikas Khanna, Upasna Kamaneni Konadella, Chairperson CSR, Apollo Foundation, Ambassador for Forest Frontline Heroes India, WWF India, founder of You Are Life, as well as the online wellness platform yourlife.co.in.
Thank you.
And of course, we have Angad Singh Gandhi here with us today, the brand ambassador of Glenfiddich.
Hi.
Welcome, guys. All right, so Vikas, I'm gonna actually start with you if that's all right. Feed India, and I think I speak for everyone when I say this, has been one of the best movements to come out of COVID. It has reached 125 cities, provided 65 million meals. Tell us about the moments and thoughts at the beginning of the pandemic that made you come up with Feed India.
My mom calls me and she's hearing all this news and she's extremely disturbed about the pandemic, not just the coronavirus, but also the hunger which is going to follow. And she was watching some clips on the news, which was must have been sensationalized. It was early morning in India. It was late night here. And she starts getting very upset with me for not doing anything. And I think that's for me very important rebooting of my moral compass. And, sometimes we get very comfortable in our privileges or the success or the daily life operations, given the things that, everything was against us in different time zones. Total teams were total unknown teams we were hiring, people we didn't even know who were helping us as volunteers or paid staff. We did not know where we were going. But I remember one moment in Hyderabad at a leprosy center where the food arrived and the people from NDRF, National Disaster Response Force, said that this is from the chef, from Master Chef. I think that's what most of the people would know me. Few people who know that, or they'll call me Sanjeev Kapoor. So it's just like either way. That was the most powerful moment for me when the video call and she said that in this street, she was speaking in Telugu. So the guy translating, in this street, even the sun stopped shining, but you didn't forget about us. So thank you. So it was very, very big moment for me. It must be like 4 o'clock in the morning and here. And I was in tears and I said, everything, whatever we've gone through in this journey, it was still in the beginning of the process. Everything is worth it. We need to put everything what we are doing on our back burners. Every other project in the world can wait, but this has to be the moment and the need. And we must all stand up and put our hands and minds together. Figure out a way to feed India.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the most difficult parts of running an organization like this is that you're in a country which could take all the help it could get. So how did you decide where to focus your attention and then make the greatest impact?
I love to choose my battles. Initially, we were taking on things we felt that they were almost like recipe for disasters. But later we said, we have to be very organized. We have to be running this whole operation like a Michelin star kitchen. This was my instructions to whatever we're going to do, because the whole world was watching. Every single day we will see international global organizations or publications writing about this movement. There has to be dignity in giving, which I felt that, has to be maintained in this, the way we serve the food, the respect of it, and the chefs involved. And this is my profession. If hunger would not move me, then I'm in the wrong profession.
Well, that's wildly impressive. And I think I'm going to use this moment to pivot to Upasna, because I do believe there's quite a bit of synergy in her line of work as well. Upasna, what was the personal or emotional moment in the early days that made you swing into action with Apollo, You Are Life, Forest Frontline Heroes?
A turning point for me was when one of our CEOs broke down and they actually needed help. and we couldn't do very much because we didn't know what was coming. The information that was coming said people needed ICU. We didn't have ICU beds. We didn't have enough oxygen, but everything was sorted within 24 hours. So I think the power of belief and the power of togetherness and the power of coming together from the government as well as the people, the common people, and everyone helping to help one patient in need is something that should be celebrated. So I think from a foundation perspective, not just Apollo, I think all the foundations and NGOs in India, the humanitarian part of people globally should be celebrated. I would like to spread the word that, on Apollo 247, any child, irrespective of their background, can go and avail a consultation absolutely free. So in any language that they want. And this is there. We just need the word to go out because, with children not having vaccines, parents stressing about their children, we realize that this is something that we need to do for our country. So all you need to do is to pick up your phone and book a consultation, and it's absolutely free for your child. So these are some things that we have in place, and we would like for people to avail these services as much as possible because the doctors are there for you. We are there to help administrate this, and I think that the whole country coming together to do something good for our population is something that we must celebrate. This is the better part of the pandemic.
Right. And while the medical industry grappled with uncertainty, unforeseen challenges, chaos, how did you choose to direct your energies? Because again, it's quite similar to what Vikas mentioned. There's a country that could use all the help it could get, and directing your energies in a slightly more funneled manner makes all the difference.
The pandemic changed that because people needed to understand that they needed the best for their bodies. And after all, it came to even doctors giving certified wellness information, the proning, the breathing exercises. Doctors, that was the actual cure for some of the patients for COVID, is to just relax, stay in bed, keep your mind active, do not get stressed, and breathe.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Upasana. I am now finally coming to Angad. Today, we are chatting with two beautiful GQ heroes, as you know, and they have believed in and proven in the culture of meaningful growth and have dedicated time and effort to driving change in the world in very significant ways, especially in recent times. The Glenfiddich philosophy says that it's important to take risks and one-up yourself even when you're at the top, just the way that they have. And why is that?
First of all, huge gratitude and thanks to Vikas and Upasana. So excited to be talking with these heroes on such an important topic today. Glenfiddich has definitely been the brand who celebrates the amazing journeys of these heroes and how they have brought their resilience and the whole vision of defying their own rules, and that's what has been really significant when we talk about William Grant and his journey. William Grant was no less than a hero himself, being the pioneer of innovation and constantly mastering the art, and then probably when we were at the top, then redefining the rules and reinventing ourselves from there has been in the DNA of the company and the family. To see people doing things differently, even when they are doing pretty much the best and at the top of the game, and they're re-innovating themselves in the current scenario. And that's what we've seen in the last couple of years. So for an example, if I talk about sustainability, Glenfiddich as a brand is now using trucks which are run on biogas created from the wastes that we have at our own distillery.
Absolutely. And I think that there's so many beautiful synergies in what you just mentioned as well with our GQ heroes over here, because truly they are kind of at their top of the top in terms of, all the things that they've done, their accomplishments, personal, professional, but yet they're still striving for more and more, which I guess aligns right well with the Glenfiddich philosophy. Vikas, I'd like to volley it back to you in this moment. Could you narrate a couple of stories that you've actually shared for us in the GQ issue?
My mom is the one who actually told me that, that when you were a kid, I used to burn myself a lot, and I couldn't run like other kids, and I couldn't And I've never had anything easy in my life. That's what she tells me, that you always have to struggle harder than everyone to get to anything. And she said, when you were a kid, every time you'll burn your hand or you'll cut yourself, your grandmother never stopped you from cooking, and we never stopped you. We said, are you sure? Are you sure? And you said, yes, this is just a cut. This is going to heal. And your grandmother told you once, because I used to love putting tandoor, I still have all burnt forearms and everything. And she said, everybody was upset. And look at his hands, which 10-year-old or teenager has hands which are totally burnt going to school? And my grandmother said, these are not burns. These are his beauty marks. And today, when you're failing in this process of Feed India, this is your beauty marks. These are your scars. And they are still teaching you so much, because there's so many people who are going to be connected to you because of this. You can be a successful chef in living in isolation, but I don't want that, son. I raised a warrior who stands in the middle of the battlefield. She was pretty upset with me because I had given up. And she said that giving up doesn't work for me. Failing works for me. Failing means you tried.
Absolutely. Oh, really, really well said. And I think that the way you used your diaspora to give back to your culture is truly outstanding. And it's also, I think, indicative of that time. There's a lot of creativity with your work, and similarly with Upasana's work as well. Upasana, you recently adopted a pair of Asiatic lions. You've also recently celebrated a family wedding with transgender people and transgender communities. These are incredibly creative ways to build awareness and draw positive attention towards problems that we absolutely need to address as a society and as people. We'd love to know a little bit more about how you've been using creativity for your version of the greater good.
I am completely pro animals in their natural environment. But I also, these animals in the zoos during the pandemic needed help. I am against zoos, but I also do understand that these animals are there for our education and not entertainment. So these animals are actually making a sacrifice, so we have the ability and opportunity to understand what their actual habitat is. So just not adopting them, but also letting people know about the big cats. The big cats need a certain area. We cannot be so greedy and take the planet away from them. So I think that is a sense of understanding that people need to get. And these lions are so important for us and our ecosystem. And, our country is one of the only ones that has a tiger and a lion in our topography. And I think that is something really that should be celebrated. And with respect to the transgender community has been with us for ages, for decades. And my family comes from one of the one of the royal families of South India, and the transgender community was so important because they actually protected the women. So we as a family decided that we need to give them support during the pandemic. A lot of the transgenders didn't have access to medicine, and we came out and we tried to help them as much. And then I realized, why don't we go into the community, understand their problems? And some of them want jobs, some of them don't want jobs, some of them want, just to be part of this blessing Badai groups. So we said, okay, fine, if you're coming in, then let us treat you with respect, and they will not be aggressive to you. All they wanted was dignity and respect. And, I didn't give them as much as the others do in terms of monetary values. But the thing is that I did give them is a lot of respect and a lot of love. And I think that changed the whole game. So I think inclusion is something that we all should learn, and treating humans with dignity and respect is something that we all know, but we should do more.
Perfect. Thank you, Upasana. And on to you, Angad. To stay relevant, as we know, we are constantly evolving, embracing the unknown, pushing the envelope. We're really kind of getting to the limits here. And it's only when you embrace the risk and not get too comfortable, I guess, over your past glories, is it possible to reach that evolvement or that evolution and break new ground and grow stronger. The Glenfiddich brand campaign is all about this, and we'd love for you to tell us a little bit more and how it's really looking to shape culture.
Exactly. I mean, the campaign is mostly about celebrating individuals and ideologies who are challenging the status quo, who are individuals like Vikas and Upasana here, is exactly what this entire campaign is all about. And through the campaign, by the virtue of our iconic stag being the protagonist here, the story is to capture the importance of embracing the uncertainty, because there's uncertainty in pretty much everyone's life. From this campaign, we're trying to show that how vulnerability or the unknown or the or failing actually helps you to get stronger, get more confident in achieving your ultimate goal. And the moment you reach there, when you have achieved it, it's all about thinking about where next you go from there, right? And that's what the entire campaign is all about.
What Angad was saying is there's a phrase for that in Buddhism. It's called Tibetan mandala.
Right.
So when you make a mandala, you make it so perfectly with your heart and soul. Once it's complete, you need to restart.
Exactly.
Because it tells you the how weak the permanence is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of brands have been ever evolving. And in some ways, I think that they take to trends or fads, and they try to attach themselves that feel sometimes inauthentic, which is also, I mean, in many ways, it's tokenism for trying to stay relevant. But I think what GQ Heroes has here is real meaningful impact and real meaningful evolution, which is packed with a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles along the way. And because we'd love to hear from you about a couple of those challenges in specific during the pandemic with Feed India that you had to face.
One biggest challenge was logistics of lockdowns. I'm very close, if you have followed my journey, I'm very close to the widow ashrams in Vrindavan and Varanasi. And I just wanted to make sure that those women were not left behind during this time. But the logistics of getting the grains was so difficult. So at one time, I was just buying the entire Russian storehouses because it was, and we said, we'll distribute it logically. But, and we also had people in between the chain who were so, I'm not going to use the word corrupt, who were so, there was something so flaky about it, their presence in that chain, because they were there, because you're sitting so far and you're coordinating this. But the things, when things would leave this Russian house, because imagine you're telling me about weights and how much person can eat, and that would blow my mind away. When that lies really killed me sometimes, when people said, oh, this was already delivered or this, and then we calculate and things wouldn't add up. And like, we couldn't fight back because we were less on resources and infrastructures. I don't burn the goodness part of this. I still have to remember that 99.9% of people who actually rose to the occasion and who was so giving and took so much risk with their own health and prioritized themselves to support the country, instead of focusing on that 0.01%, which had totally damaged this whole Feed India campaign. And so we have to be conscious of it, but we cannot be putting them on the forefront, giving them more fuel. We cannot do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think whilst we're on this topic of the pandemic, Upasana, when the pandemic did hit, when you realized the enormity and the seriousness of the task ahead, how did that affect you on a personal level?
I think the way for me to cope with it is that I didn't let it sink in. So, while we were going out there and trying to build isolation centers and set templates for people to follow and send out the right information, we also had people who weren't able to afford care. And so another company of mine, which processes insurance claims, taught us that, we needed to up our systems. And that's when the biggest learning I understood from this pandemic is that healthcare can be affordable and free.
All right, and back to Vikas. Now that we're hopefully, fingers crossed, moving towards COVID becoming an endemic, what are some of the things that you have learned with Feed India that will inform your future work with the community? Because I can only imagine that it's not ending anytime soon.
Initially, we were just working on emotions and we would not be able to create, the ways. But also Feed India also made me realize that, sometimes we never got more emails the way we were getting for Feed India for people or younger generation kids who were telling us that, today we did this, we fed the dogs, we did this, we started a small thing of serving in old age homes because you were so inspired by your story of Feed India. That has really has taken a big, people say metamorphosis word is overused, but I do feel it metamorphosized me in many ways, that we are the ones who limit ourselves to what we can do, and time zones and different locations and different hierarchy of our lives is just a very small excuse not to do things.
Yeah, yeah. And on to another mighty woman Upasana. How has your view of medicine, medical care, infrastructure, outreach changed over the last 2 years? Of course, it's been an incredibly difficult 2 years. What are the most important things that we need to do as a country, as people, to become healthier? I mean, health is, of course, a topic of conversation wherever you look at this moment in time. I think it's changed a lot in terms of the definition for people. But from your perspective, what is it really to be healthier?
We can be trendsetters because most of our population, because of religion, etc., is vegetarian. And this vegetarian movement is happening. And I think it's good for the planet, it's good for the people. I myself, I'm in the journey of avoiding, I'm not completely vegetarian, but the thing is that I'm evolving. So I feel that, if we start the journey together, our country, our bodies, and our planet can evolve. So the thing is that this is where the enthusiasts come into play, where they motivate you, but you need to reach out to the experts to see what is best for your body. The government is helping. Yoga is huge for us. And I think that yoga must be incorporated in every school curriculum, in every corporate. It should be like a prayer that you say for your body every morning. And I think that these are things that will definitely change the way healthcare is. Healthcare will move more into your home rather than into the hospitals, into your own hands, because everything that you put into your mouth and do for yourself is healthcare.
All right, thank you for that. And looking back at the last 21 months, Vikas, what's the one milestone? And I know this is the hardest question because you are just a man of so many milestones. There's a book, there are movies, there's incredible initiatives. But what is the one milestone that you would say you're the proudest of? The one big story that you just love sharing from first time over the last 21 months?
Everyone you spoke to in the chef industry, because you're part of so many WhatsApp groups, which are all chefs, could be European, American, Australian, Indian chefs. But every news, and the moment I put up, guys, you're ready to open our doors tomorrow. And we've been working on this for 3 months and we opened, and I think that was amazing. Sometimes it takes one person to reboot that entire energy in that group, and people said, oh, this is amazing. How are you going to make money? And we did make money. It was not about that. It was that people were sometimes looking not just for financial part of it, they're looking for hope.
Yeah, with a vengeance. And I guess it really needed one domino to fall for the rest to fall right after. And I think there's a lot of courage there to be at the top of your game. It takes hard work to one up your own self. It takes a lot of courage. So Angad, what is next with Glenfiddich?
I think how beautifully Vikas and Upasana have put up these amazing stories and shared with us. I think this is exactly what this is all about. The campaign Where Next is all about people who have the courage to go against all the odds, to take this in their stride, to take all the criticism in their stride, still go out and still re-innovate in all the best possible way. I mean, as I was mentioning about sustainability, where we are getting the green biogas created with our own whiskey waste, or whether we talk about crypto fashion, which is one of the newest avenues of the world, trying to identify things there, talking about innovation, talking about experimentation, whether it be in the food part of space or art part of space, and marrying all of that to the ethos of Glenfiddich as a brand is what Where Next is all about.
As our lovely guests today have shown, with great risk comes great growth, and with great power comes great responsibility. We salute all the heroes out there doing their bit. Thank you to our panelists today. We are tuned into all of the great things you do and to a brighter future ahead.
Thank you.